founding city and called it Urus, he named these invaders the Hyksos, which he translated as shepherd kings, like the brother was going into. Although now the term is often translated as foreign rulers or desert princes, which that's not true. However, the contrary to the impression given by Manetho, the Hyksos, Hegan Kasut, because they had Egyptian names, because they were Egyptian. They weren't Egyptian, but they were a part of the Egyptian culture. It says, we're not in fact a distinct racial grouping, but rather the term used to refer to the rulers of the area around Avaris and Sharahan. During the second intermediate period, the Asiatics were more generally known as Amu, because you got Jakes. They're into this philosophy how you have a group of so-called Negroes that are known as the Asiatic black people, which in a sense they're kind of correct, because when you look at where Israel's at, the Middle East, that's actually Asia. So in a sense, technically, originally we are from Asia, but we were scattered abroad, due to obviously transgression, the curses in Deuteronomy 28, and it led us into different parts of the world. So yeah, we are actually Asian naturally. When you look at the geographical location, okay. Like for example, when you read the book of Genesis, it speaks about those different rivers. You had the river Ezekiel, and the river the river Tigris. That's where we used to be at, right? The great river Euphrates, River Jordan. So that's a part of our heritage, our culture. But in this society, we've been taught that we gotta worry about the river now or anything that alludes to Africa. We're actually from the Middle East originally. Go on, bro.
This is the book of Genesis chapter 9 and 18. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Yeah.
Ham was the father of Canaan.
Yeah.
These were the three sons of Noah,
right.
And from them came the people who were scattered over the whole earth.
So every nation, and they were all dark-skinned people. They all produced their race, their own kind. So like the brother was saying, the Dinkas, which are those people in Sudan, if they were standing right here, right now, you'd be able to tell a complete difference. Yeah, they got the same dark skin and the same, kind of similar coiled hair, right. But they're a different species.
Different species.
Yeah,
human beings, man.
Yeah,
they look like they're from a different planet. Like when you look at them,
yeah, they do.
they just look like this one track mind, man. That's why we had such a problem with them during the time of David, man, and during the time of Samson. We was at war with them motherfuckers because we were like side by side. Like if you check Israel and Egypt, you could travel there. You could travel. You could walk it. You could walk that distance. All right, if you really wanted to. That's how Jacob and the 70 souls traveled from Canaan into Egypt. All right. There was a difference between us and them.
Look at Google Maps. Travel from Egypt, Israel, walking, it took about 7 days.
7 days. That's a 7-day trek. Stopping, resting, sleeping, traveling again. You can do that. On camel, horseback, whatever. Alright? But Ham, it's only the Hamites, because Ham, he laughed at Noah when he saw his father naked and drunk.
Yeah.
And then Noah cursed Ham and said, you're going to be a servant unto your brother, which is Shem. Talking about Canaan, Canaanites. And the way them Canaanites operate, they definitely need to be in servitude, man. They definitely need to be in servitude after Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? But go to the difference between
Exodus 11 and 7, brother.
Okay? Because we're not Hamites.
Yeah.
We're not Africans. We are not Africans. That's more of Esau's deception.
Yeah.
Esau, the ruling elite, they know who we are. Make no mistake about it. They know exactly who we are. But like I said, they've got control over the information that gets put out there in the mainstream. They say what goes out and what doesn't go out. and they don't want it to go out, that the people they have stuck in the ghettos on food stamps, okay? The so-called minorities, the Hispanics, the Mexicans, okay? People they got on reservation camps, all right? People of West Africa, the Ghana, the Bantus, all right? Those people are Hebrew in origin, okay? But they try to make out that we're all Africans.
Yeah, but you know,
because we really, at one point in time, we came from that continent, and we migrated to that continent.
And you know too, right? Can I say one thing? Because like I said earlier before, a lot of our people don't know the difference between the history of the dark races. They don't know. So when they see something alluding to any form of dark nation that has some kind of history, they conclude themselves in that because they can't tell the difference between what nation they fall under concerning that history.
Yeah.
So if it's Egyptian history, they'll say, okay, that was us. No, it's not.
Right.
Because we gotta understand, like the brother's going into, you so-called Negroes, and I'm talking about y'all, right? The ones that are sons, or should I say, great-great-grandsons of the slaves. You're not African. You're not Egyptian. You're none of these things. You're of Hebrew origin. Okay? You're the same people that those Hamites enslaved in Egypt for 430 years or 400 years.
Right, yeah.
Okay, that's who you are. And like the brother's saying, the so-called white man knows that we're of Hebrew origin.
Right.
But Esau told you and brainwashed you that you're African, and I can understand. I get it because you know when a nation takes your culture away from you and then relabels you as something else, and it teaches you in school because you don't know any better, and teaches you that you're African, you're gonna go with that. You're gonna go with that what is it? That notion, because you have no historical background yourself. So whatever Esau's telling you, you're gonna drink it like it's Kool-Aid.
Fly with it.
Right.
Okay. You're gonna fly with it.
Yeah.
You understand? Now this is part of the resurrection. It starts right now.
Exactly.
With the apostles. With the apostles on down. We're the ones that's breathing in the breath of life. That's why the flesh is being put back in your bones. Because for a long time we've been in the grave, man. We've been in the grave. We've been dead for a long time as a people.
And it's really because of the so-called white man. Like I said, if you watch the film Roots, it shows you that how Kunta Kinte was hanged upside down, right? And the slave master was like, "What's your name?" So he kept on forcing them to call himself Toby. So that right there shows you right there that they beat our heritage out of us. And then later on down the line, they told you that you was something else. It led you to believe that, okay, that's the truth. Because, like I said earlier before, if you look at those dark Africans, those Hamites, you know, if you don't know any better, you're going to think, okay, well, we must originate from them. But if you actually go back to the history, if the Spirit of the Lord is living, you will find out that you don't connect with those people. You find out that you're of Hebrew origin.
But so like here, brother, that's why I went to, go on, brother, before you finish.
If the Spirit is dealing with you, you're going to read the Bible and you're going to find out who you are based on the curses in Deuteronomy 28. And that's why all of us came into this truth. Because we read, you know, certain elders and teachers were reading Deuteronomy 28, and that kind of sparked our mind, and we realized, oh shit, that's talking about me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason why we without a shadow of a doubt, we know that we're the Hebrews, because the curse of the Hebrews applies to us. Okay, so that's what saved us pretty much. This word.
My brother, you've answered my question, so I don't need to finish.
Okay.
Right, because you have to understand this word African is a way to make us people feel like we're dumb or we're less intelligent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why you have a large majority of our people that think that they're inferior to so-called white people.
Yeah.
Right? That they've accomplished everything, and the Africans are this underdeveloped people, undeveloped country. We haven't accomplished anything in the world, and we've always been dependent on the so-called Caucasoids.
Yeah, and if you look at those natural Africans, and I'm not talking about Israelites today, I'm talking about those Hamites. They are undeveloped people, because that's how when you read the history, that's how the Hyksos were able to conquer them, because the Hyksos, which were, you know, the shepherd kings, the Israelites, they knew about how to use the technology against those Hamites. Because they're undeveloped. Those Hamites are undeveloped, but the Israelites that were amongst the Hamites are developed people because the Most High gave them the wisdom.
Joseph understood cultivation, and the Most High gave Joseph a dream. He said there's going to be 7 years of harvest, 7 years of famine. And he said what to do is, when it's time of harvest, gather in, gather. Stock up for the famine. All right, he saw a herd of thin cattle, then he saw fat cattle, and the fat cattle represents the harvest, and the slim cattle represents the famine. All right, so it was like what you call a similitude, which means it's a symbolic representation of something. All right. So the skinny, the mager cattle represent the famine, and the fat cattle represent the harvest. He said the time of harvest, stack up, man. All right, and so he saved the Egyptians.
Yeah,
he saved them.
Yeah, and he made Egypt for what it is.
Right, exactly. The Most High put the spirit upon Joseph to save them underdeveloped.
Which is what they are. They're undeveloped, man. Because that's why when you read the book of Daniel's, what did Daniel liken the other nations to? Beasts.
Yeah, beasts, right. See, in Sudan right now, they're undernourished. If Joseph was with them right now, they'd be on top again, man.
Exactly.
They would have them flies around them anymore.
Because if you look at those Sudanese people, they're in an undeveloped situation. Why? Because they're an undeveloped minded people. Okay, those people need to be ruled over, man. Those people can never rule. The reason why those Egyptians were able to rule, because the Most High gave them that wisdom, understanding to rule Egypt, so that prophecy could be fulfilled. We can say the same thing about the so-called white man. The so-called white man, he's nothing but a base creature, pursuant to Job the 30th chapter. But why is he ruling? Because the Most High gave them the insight, the spiritual kind of ability to rule.
Read it.
Matthew 24:15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel stand in the holy place.
Yeah, that's going into something else.
So go to Exodus, man.
Yeah, Exodus 11:7. That's what he wanted.
You know what's weird? Ain't Toby a Hebrew name?
So what?
Ain't Toby a form of a Hebrew name? Toby.
Yeah, Tobiah. That does sound.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird though.
Which I
He's
believe
beating African into
the Hebrew.
You see what I'm saying? That's weird though, isn't it?
Yeah, Tobiah.
You don't think too much into it, but that's weird.
Which Tobiah means good. Good. It means from the word Tawab, which means good.
It's 11:1.
Tawab, which means my good.
Read that part. Yes.
Which verse are we in? We started.
11:4, right?
11:7.
Exodus 11:7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue.
Read louder.
But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know that the Lord Yahweh doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
Read that again.
But against Exodus 11:7.
You know it is, but the reason why you're not reading louder because you got your head down, so you gotta lift up your head.
It's like my Bible. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know that the Lord Yahweh doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel, and all the.
Right. So there's a difference. Okay, we're not the same. We're not all the same blood, same DNA, all brothers and sisters, all Africans. Because there's a lot of people that can define themselves as being Africans. You've got Edomites that are saying they're Africans, that the land belongs to them.
Yeah.
You've got Arabs all up in there, man. You've got Ishmaelites all up in the continent of Africa, man. Okay? In North Africa. Alright? You got different tribes, man. You got different nations. You got Hamite nations. You got and Hebrew nations in the midst of that place, man. You got different countries like Rwanda, Uganda, alright?
Zambia,
Kenya. Because you kept saying that the Kenyans are Hamites. You got Israelites in Kenya, man.
you got
Bantus. You got Bantus in Kenya, man. Speaking Swahili. Alright? I know I had a little affair with one Kenyan woman, dark skin. I thought she was West African. Turns out she was Kenyan, man. Alright? Alright, then you got the West Africans. Predominantly that's Jake. But you have Hamites there. Right? You got the what do you call them houses, man.
Yeah, a lot of those West Africans, I'll say 90+ % of them are Israelites.
Yeah. And over there, you know, in Lagos, you got a difference between the Igbos and the houses, man. The Igbos
The
called
houses there were Hamites, right?
yeah. And the Igbos called the houses Northerners because you had the Biafra Wars. You had the Biafra Wars where the houses they joined up with the Yoruba to basically go to war with the Igbos, and the Igbos wanted to establish. They wanted to separate themselves from Nigeria and have their own new establishment. Because Esau tried to colonize that place and call it Nigeria. But the Igbos like, fuck all that, man. We're going to have our own little Zion movement. And we're going to call it Biafra. Right?
What does that word mean, brother? I don't know what it is.
I don't even know what that word means. They
I'm gonna find out.
Alright? But the Yorubas, that's Judah. So the Judahs, they joined up with the Hamites to attack their own brothers, man. Alright, the Igbos. Alright? But there's a difference between us and the Hamites. You can see it. You can see it. There's that majority of the time you're gonna see Jakes in England. You're not gonna see the Sudanese people too tough.
And that's
when you do
spiritual.
see them, you can see the difference.
And that's spiritual because
Black and white difference.
yeah, and what I'm also going to say is this as well. It's spiritual because Jacob is closer to Esau, right? Jacob is Esau's brother. So it's funny how you have nothing but Jakes, whether they're coming from Jamaica or Nigeria and England, and they're right side to side with Esau. You don't see them Hamites sneaking up with Esau or being in Esau's dwelling places. It's nothing but Jakes out there.
Right. We got a precept, Genesis 16 and 13. And he said unto Abraham, because at this time his name was Abraham, which means exalted father.
of many, you know?
And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Yeah, that was talking about Egypt. And could I interject on that? Because you have certain Israelite camps or people that believe in the Hebrew Israelite, movement. Okay, they're saying that that's talking about us being in America. That ain't talking about that. That's talking about the 400 years of Egypt, ancient Egypt. Because you gotta go back to the history where, like we was talking about Joseph. Joseph stayed there for 30 years, right? And did what he had to do to make Egypt what it was during that time. And you had the other Israelites, all of the other tribes, they came in the midst and was enslaved for 400 years. So that's what that was talking about. Ancient Egypt. It ain't talking about the 400-year period on this side of the spectrum. It ain't talking about that. From slavery, the transatlantic slave trade up to now, it ain't talking about that.
Right. And they shall afflict them 400 years.
And you can find that out when you read the Exodus, the first chapter, and how they were afflicted.
Yeah, because when they had us in slavery, there was all kind of madness going on. You had probably our women having interracial with the Egyptians, the Hamites. They probably started disrespecting the Israelite men because we was in slavery. We had no power, we had no control over nothing, and they looked at the Egyptians as being the providers. The ones providing stability, so a lot of our women was probably going to them and shit. Because that didn't happen, because when we exited Egypt, there was an Israelitish woman that had a child that was fathered by an Egyptian man.
Yeah.
So you did have that going on back then.
But
You had a lot of that going on back then.
I wouldn't say, and I don't know, because the Mossad took that kind of information from us. Because we were back there too in the reincarnation, but we don't remember exactly what went on. But this is my opinion. I think that the Israelites at the time, they didn't mingle amongst the Egyptians as much as they mingle amongst Esau right now. But people probably did have some women that did deal with the Hamites, but I don't think it was that prevalent though. That's just my thing, my opinion.
And obviously we were forced, because we always had that connection with Egypt, worshipping their idols. Because even when during the time of Jeremiah, there was still a large population of the Israelites in Egypt, worshipping those Egyptian deities. So obviously during that 400-year period when we were serving the Hamites, we was obviously forced to worship their gods also, right?
Yeah, that's why these Jakes are Egyptologists, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Because that's them spirits coming back.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
So did Hamites get taken slavery?
Huh?
Did Hamites get taken in slavery?
Hamites get taken.
Hamites get taken in slavery.
What slavery? What the transatlantic slavery?
No.
Like the Hausa tribe, you said the Hausa tribe, they was in West Africa.
Yeah.
So how you know they never got took?
Obviously, there's Israelites in those northern parts, but we're talking about those actual, like, I forget the name of the.
We're in house.
The Hausa tribes in Nigeria. But they say like all Jamaicans, most Jamaicans are from Ghana or Nigeria or brown that's up there.
Igbo,
Yeah.
or Ghana.
Yeah. But you said that the Hausa tribe lives in the same section.
Yeah, exactly.
So they get did they get taken? Did they get taken as well? That's what I'm saying.
Those are Hamites. That's what the
you know what I'm
Igbos.
saying? Like, because they went and just grabbed up a whole bunch of. I know they knew who they was looking for, but we used to say that.
Do you mean Hamitic tribes that went to slavery?
Yeah.
I don't know.
From a
They was,
spiritual.
man, that's on them, innit?
Yeah, but
There's a possibility.
That's on them, man.
There's a possibility that could have went down.
But they weren't under the.
Predominantly that curse fell on Israel.
Yeah.
It's mostly Israelites.
That was the case with us, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Spiritual,
The tabernacles of Ham are not cursed.
Right.
That's what he's going to say.
So it says verse 14, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. So the Most High is judging them right now. They're in Sudan, and they don't even know who they are, man.
Yeah.
Okay. They're jumping up and down naked with spears in their hands. All right, doing tribal dances. Yeah. you can YouTube that, man. They're in a circle, just jumping up and down.
You should see Nelson Mandela dancing.
And you can see that they are warriors in their own perspective. Okay? But we've got nothing to do with them. Okay? Right. So it said, let me go back to Exodus 1 and 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
So that was Patmos the second.
Yeah. It's Amos. Because you had different pharaohs, man. Because when you read Exodus, it tells you this pharaoh, like it was the same pharaoh the whole time. No, it was different pharaohs during the 400 years. It wasn't just the same pharaoh for 400 years. He's 400 years. One pharaoh is 400 years old.
Yeah, because even at that time, if you notice, when you read the book of Genesis chapter 5, it speaks about that on how you had certain men that lived to almost 1,000 years old. When you read Genesis 6, it speaks about how the Most High didn't strive a man like that.
Yeah, right.
You know, so he dwindled the age or the the strength of man.
Yeah, it's like Methuselah was about. He was 966, round about that.
Yeah.
The oldest that ever lived.
Joseph died.
Yeah.
He was 110 years old. So he wasn't no 400 years old, man.
No.
Because Joseph was before those new Hamite kings that took over. So those Hamite kings, they didn't have everlasting life. Anyway.
Exodus 1 and 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt.
Yeah, he's reading that
No,
now.
you can read it.
No, read it.
That's the spirit. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You get that. Exodus.
It's really, brother. He's supposed to read it anyway.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be reading. He's supposed to break the scriptures down. You know?
Alright, Exodus 1 and 8. There rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph, and he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they falleth out of any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Yeah, because the reason why the Hamite kings put Joseph over pretty much everything is because he brought blessings. The Hamite kings, they saw that Joseph was the Most High was with him, especially during that time of the 7 years of famine. When Joseph dealt wisely, they were like, yeah, we need this guy, man, because he handled matters. He saved us from annihilation.
It's like Jacob. When he wanted his first wife, the guy knew that Jacob was blessed, so that's why he tricked him first.
He tricked him.
For the first 7 years, he tricked him, gave him the wrong.
Oh yeah.
I said, give me another 7 years first.
Yeah.
I think it was Leah, right?
Yeah, Leah and Rachel.
He was a wicked piece of shit to do that. Imagine that.
But you know what? But you know what it was, because I believe Rachel was the older sister.
Yeah.
So he had to take on her first, and then
He was glad he had.
Yeah, but that was wrong, because the one that he gave first was the one that he weren't really attracted to.
Yeah.
He was feeding the second one. But he kept, what's his name? Laban. He kept her back.
Yeah.
Because he knew that if I can hold her back, he's definitely gonna work more extra for me. You know.
But she was more fruitful than Rachel.
Yeah.
So he
So she must have had a body.
he got a better deal in the end.
nice face, because she can have a body, brother, but she got an ugly face. She probably had a beautiful face, you know,
Right.
the body too.
But that's men are in the flesh, but Yahweh's not in the flesh. So he gave him the better one, not spiritually.
You understand?
Exactly.
But so you know that's why the Hamite kings, they put Joseph over the substance, over the business, man, over the ins and outs, okay, over the stock distribution, over the money, man. He put Joseph over the whole thing, because that 7 years. Imagine if England went for 7 years of nothing. You know what the fuck would happen?
They'll be desperate, yeah.
In 1 week. In 1 week. 2 weeks. Cannibalism. Imagine 7 years.
Yeah, like the snowstorm. 2 days, all the shelves were empty in the shop.
In the shop, 2 days. It's 2 days. What's that? 48 hours?
Yeah.
48 hours, desolation. Imagine what 7 years, what 7 years look like. There'll be no one left alive, man. Everyone will be dead. So Joseph saved them Egyptians, man, from extermination. Through that one dream, and the Most High gave Joseph, he saved. That's why I said that. That's why I said, someone give me the scripture that said all nations shall be blessed in Abraham.
Can I add something?
Yeah, that's in Genesis.
I think it says in Galatians, all nations shall be blessed in him. Because the churches, they'll say that, all nations can be saved, because it said, through Abraham's seed, all nations are blessed. They don't talk about that. Talk about, because we're scattered among all nations are blessed because we're among them.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So that's talking.
Yep.
We're among them. We bless them. We bring the blessing on them.
Yeah.
Like when Esau, when he's among the other nations, he brings death to them.
That's why
When we among nations, we bring life to them. We help them.
Well, that's why it
We
says
help them to prosper.
in the scriptures.
We bring money to them. That's why Esau won't let us go, man.
Yeah, but
Esau
brother,
not gonna let us go.
Can I say one thing? I don't mean to cut you off. That's why it says in the scriptures that when the wicked man ruleth, the people mourn. When the righteous man rules, then the people rejoice.
It's in Galatians 3.
When you put the right men in power, the whole earth is going to be under a blessing. You see, but this world is under a curse because you have the wrong kind of people that's running the planet. They have not a clue what they're doing. Just like the Egyptians, they didn't have a clue what they were doing, and that's why they said, "Look, Joseph, we gonna let you deal with that."
Yeah, we want to give it to you.
Yeah,
You got the floor.
yeah, you got the floor.
I thought that was talking about Esau. Like, all the nations did get blessed. Ishmael is going to be a great nation, and he's going to get, you know what I'm saying, he's going to be princes.
Yeah.
And then Esau got the, I thought that was talking about that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Esau got the sword, and didn't get nothing down the next. I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying? I thought that was talking about every nation's going to get blessed in their own.
No. The Most High gave blessings to nations, but when they speak about that scripture, they're talking about they're going to be blessed through us, through Jacob. You got it?
It's Galatians 3.
It's in 3.
You can start from verse 14. Yeah.
Galatians chapter 3 and 14, that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Brethren, I seek after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant, yet if it be confirmed, no man disalloweth or addeth thereunto.
Read that part again,
Galatians 3 and 14, that the blessing of Abraham might come to the Gentiles through Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith.
That's what it says. Every nation shall be blessed.
No, read on down. We don't read down.
Verse 15, Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be of a man's covenant, yet it be confirmed, no man disalloweth or addeth thereunto. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promise made. He saith not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed which is a Mashiach. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before the Most High in Yahushua, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect. For if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more of promise, but the Most High gave it unto Abraham by promise. Wherefore the seventh.
That ain't in it.
No.
How does it sound?
There's one in Genesis.
Yeah, go to that one. Go to that one.
Yeah, how does it sound, bro?
Let me go to it. Nations.
Yeah. Genesis 18.
Yeah, that's it. Galatians 3 and 8.
Hold on, Stevie.
Oh, read that one, bro. Read that one, bro.
Genesis 18 and 18. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him.
Thank you. All the nations shall be blessed in him. That's the them Hamites, man, eating crocodile. They were living under the laws and commandments. They were sodomites too.
They were just.
I remember there was a hieroglyphic with sodomy, man. 2 men.
Yeah, that was a part of ancient Egyptian customs as well.
Yeah.
Homosexuality.
Yeah. Eating crocodiles. They probably thought crocodiles was holy, man.
And what they would do
Or
as
sacred
well,
or something like that.
what they used to do as well, they used to masturbate in the waters, because they believe because of some certain god. Matter of fact, let me go into that real quick. They believe there's some madness, craziness.
Remember, these are Hamites, man. The filthiness of the heathens. It tells you that in is it Ezra or Nehemiah that we should separate ourselves from the filthiness of the heathens. Because they believe in whatever, man. Demons come to their head and tell them that certain things are sacred.
Yeah.
Like worshipping elephants is sacred. Like the Elamites, they think elephants are sacred, man.
Cows as well.
Yeah, cows.
Yeah.
Like if you killed a cow, one guy got put to death because he killed a cow, man.
Yeah.
But they believe that they believe that you will come back as the cow.
Yeah.
That's what they believe. That's why you ain't supposed to kill the cow.
They don't realize there's a flesh of beast and a flesh of one kind. There's different kinds, man.
Yeah.
Alright?
That's just the spirit, man.
That's just laugh, man. You're fighting girlfriend or something.